Well, hey everyone. I am joined here by our wonderful, amazing, talented, fearless leader of children's ministry, Mary Davis. And if you were with us this last Sunday, you know that we had an awesome week at 2021 Vacation Bible School Backyard Edition not too long ago. And so you got to hear a little bit of an update from Mary and a number of the volunteers, but today we just want to give you a little different angle on it and to hear a little bit more from you, Mary, as to how things went. I just actually learned that there is actually another backyard VBS taking place this week. Mm-hmm. Apparently someone wanted to host and wasn't able to last week, and so this model allows us to do VBS at different points throughout the whole summer. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. What are some of your highlights that you haven't gotten to share with us already?
I'll tell you, one of the biggest highlights is we got to share Jesus with kids who have never heard of who Jesus is. And what an amazing thing. We had one parent say to one of our volunteers that his kids were talking about space and Jesus. And he's like, I don't know how it connects, but somehow it must. And the volunteer was able to say, yes, it does. And later in the week, those kids came home and said, we know without a shadow of a doubt, 100% is what they said, 100% that Jesus loves us and he's in our hearts. That's awesome. And that's why we do what we do. That's right. That's just an amazing gift to have. Yeah. It was also really cool to see how our teens who've been discipled by their parents and discipled by their Sunday morning and Wednesday night leaders as kids and then also as youth, how they were able to step up and then share Jesus with others. Matthew 28 tells us to go and make disciples. And so we went into neighborhoods. But we also began the discipling process. But it wasn't just beginning it. That's right. It was watching how it goes from one to the other, like watching the generations.
Many layers of discipleship.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So amazing. The other thing I think that was really cool, especially this year that really hit home, was just how kids were able to be kids. 2021 has been such a hard year following 2020. Mm-hmm. And just to have kids be able to be in a backyard playing, laughing, like God made kids to wiggle and giggle, and that's what they were able to do. It was just so awesome to see that, and for kids to be able to reconnect, to connect with new friends, and just how that will carry out follow-up, like neighborhoods, because it was neighborhood stuff. Leaders, the people who hosted are able to follow up with their neighbors about what their kids learned.
Really cool.
And friendships.
Yeah, and friendships really cool. that are already existing or maybe have started because of that. Yeah. That's really cool. I know that the model was obviously very different than what Chelton has historically done, which brought a lot of these cool new opportunities. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it also brought some unique challenges as well, right? On top of all the challenges of the world that we live in today, kind of pandemic, post-pandemic world, what were some other challenges that you guys faced that maybe were unique for this year?
Yeah. Planning on how to do it and when to do it.
Yeah, right.
That was a big one, right? And I think because so many people were dealing with, hey, we can go away for the summer. Yeah. We had a lot of our families who were on vacation. Sure. So we didn't have as many helpers as we normally would. Normally VBS is a year, I don't recruit. I don't even advertise, right? Yeah. Like people are just like, we're coming. So that was different, but it was still sweet how God provided.
That's right.
Pretty cool how that happened. Figuring out too, just recommendations, mandates, all of that stuff to keep our kids safe, right? The two things we want to do is we want to share Jesus with kids and we want to keep them safe. So that was a challenge just to figure that out. And then there was just all the little bitty pieces, we're used to having it here with one big thing, and now we have now 7 people who are teaching the Bible story. So they have to have all of their stuff in order to do that. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
But a good one.
Yeah, that's right. Mary, if we step back out of kind of VBS specific and think about children's ministry as a whole, what are some things that excite you? What are some things that, as you look down, kind of paint a little bit of a vision for us for children's ministry?
Yeah. So VBS was one of our phases. We've been reopening and relaunching in phases. The first phase was getting our toddlers and our preschoolers and our kindergartners on Sunday morning. And then VBS was the next phase. Our next phase is to open up our Sunday morning for our elementary age kids. So actually, I want to invite people now. This Sunday at 9 o'clock, I'm inviting our kids at first service to come on out after the worship, the singing worship part of worship, and join me for a time of Bible and just just reconnecting. And we're going to continue to do that through August. And then in September, we're hoping to really help relaunch a lot of what we want to do.
Yeah. And we'll have lots of communication between now and then, and opportunities for parents to get to hear a little bit more what that plan will be like. So stay tuned for that, everyone. One of the cool things I think it's always been encouraging to me, Mary, about your heart and the way you have led children's ministry is recognizing that we want to come alongside parents, because parents are the primary disciple makers of our kids. I know we've done some of the calculations before as to how many hours a church program and ministry has with a child. Compare that to the amount of hours that parents have.
Yeah.
We are by far and away a secondary, and the parents are the primary disciplers. That's always been heavy on your heart, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't changed?
Hasn't changed. And it's been challenging because when you're with your kids 24/7 for a year and a half, it's hard to see the big picture, right? It's really hard to see the big picture. And when kids are experiencing anxiety about going back to school, and you're hearing things like, oh, they're going to have masks again, and it's just overwhelming. And so we want to come alongside our parents better than what we've been doing. Like there's always room for improvement. So we were going to have a meeting somewhere between end of August, beginning of September. We'll get you the details, where we want to sit down and we want to talk with you parents about what would be helpful as you are discipling your kids. Another thing we're going to be doing is looking at workshops. And one of the first ones we're going to do is helping parents as you deal with your children who are dealing with anxiety. That'll be more towards the end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah, great.
So we're excited about what we have and where we can go. We can only go up from here, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, just like the rocket launches, we're launching.
That's right.
We're excited about that, and we want to love on you guys well.
That's right. Well, Mary, you do that, and for sure, as much as and as well as you have loved our kids, we love you. Thank you to you for all the work you've done with VBS and ongoing. And thank you to all you volunteers who have faithfully served, or those of you who have been praying for VBS in the last month or two. I ask you to keep praying that the Lord would take those seeds that were planted of the gospel and bear lots of fruit from them. And ask you to keep praying for our kids as well, for our parents, for the young ones in our church, for our staff and volunteers, and consider how you might be a part of that in serving as well. And may we be a church that is found faithful to do what we're called to over and over again in the Psalms, which is to be as one generation declaring the works of God to the next generation. So thank you for your partnership, for your prayers, and we're excited to see what God's going to do in the future.